Amanda, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of AudienceLed Presents. You recently talked about the memification of everything and how extremely online corners of the internet are entering enterprise strategy conversations. For B2B brands trying to figure out how to communicate with a generation raised inside the feed, how do you successfully inject meme logic and internet culture into rigid corporate environments without making it cringe?
I think some brands are crushing it, but I think ultimately what it boils down to is B2B brands don't need to post memes. They don't need to make memes. They need to understand what it is that makes memes work, like why they're such a powerful vehicle for sharing information, changing minds, and building rapport with the audience. I think memes ultimately are so powerful because they capture this universal or shared truth within a niche of people. And it's just a way to validate people in a way that's really fun. That's like, oh my God, yes, that's exactly the feeling. Like, or oh my God, we see this all the time. I'm so glad people are just clowning on it. The opportunity is not to start being like Duolingo or Wendy's and just start posting nonsense crap. I see a lot of B2B brands, especially for a minute, they're trying to just they jump on every single trend, every cringy meme. I had this saying for a minute there where I was like, I know whether or not a meme is cool to bandwagon onto based on how fast it gets to LinkedIn and who's posting it on LinkedIn. Like the less edgy people that you don't ever hear from, like people who never post funny or edgy stuff, if they're posting the meme, I'm like, oh, I'm staying far away from that. Yeah, it's already dead. It's already saturated. It's not funny. It's not cool. And everybody's going to do it. If everyone feels comfortable doing it, it's not cool and it's not powerful anymore. So I think just that taste and discernment too is really important. And it's so hard to articulate what exactly that means. But in this era of AI-slopification of everything, taste and the ability to discern what is worth doing and what is not, I think is such a powerful trait.
What platforms do you find, or where does it come across in your world where you're like, ooh, this is still kind of fresh?
I'm still a big user of X, Twitter, like that is my ride or die platform. I built my entire e-commerce brand, Thought Leader Labs, around just tweets that I had just put into the void that resonated with people. And again, like around these shared truths, these kind of like inside jokes with people you don't know. I'd say from there, figuring out what is unique and what hasn't been done over and over again, I think is part of it too. If I see the same old tire take, like here's an example of one that's like pretty saturated. I knew that this one was not cool anymore when I was at a conference and the keynote speaker came on the stage with a hat that said, ever since I was a little kid, like I knew I wanted to turn like data-driven insights.
Oh my God. That was such a good one though.
Yeah. And it was, but it's like,
that was 2 years ago, dude, at least where you were doing it. And I remember catching on like, this is so funny.
Yeah. And then this past fall, someone was wearing that cap on stage. I was like, oh, like that's not funny anymore. Like it's been overdone, you know?
You took them off your e-commerce, like off your Shopify.
Yeah.
You built down so quick.
Yeah, like I'm still always like joking about like vibes and stuff, but I think like these things have a shelf life, so to speak. And I don't know, it's just so interesting to see how these little sayings and stuff evolved. Another one that I feel came and went so quick was the very like mindful, very demure meme. Do you remember that?
Of course.
It found its way to LinkedIn like instantly because that's safe. People feel comfortable saying cutesy, demure, whatever. And I was like, I'm not touching that one because it's whatever. If it doesn't require that shared context, if it doesn't have that inside joke element to it too, I feel like that's another way to tell. You know what that means instantly. You're like, okay, this is kind of weird words. Nobody really speaks like that, but I get it. Yep. Whereas like some other more deep cuts, if you show that to your uncle or aunt, they don't know what that is.
I think that's a good one. If you have access to your uncle or aunt and are able to show it to them and they're like, what?
Yeah.
This might pass that first filter.
Right. Yeah. Like that's kind of my barometer for it. And I think that way about partnerships too. I'm like, when I do my coaching and advisory on partnerships, I try to get people to understand partnerships is such a new up and coming function. There's so much opportunity to capitalize on it. I'm like, If you go to your aunt and uncle, they know what marketing and sales is. It's too late. Those spaces are so saturated. Those go-to-market functions are full and everybody understands them. But partnerships, your aunt and uncle don't know what partnerships is. They might have an idea, but it's just not there yet. And that's why I'm always trying to tell people who are considering pivoting into this function or considering investing in it. I'm like, nobody knows yet. It's still so fresh.
That's good, man. I think I want to leave your main, but like the main one on that one. And my last little question for you, as we're talking about this, who's your number one follow these days?
Oh, like person I'm following?
Yeah. I think I want to start asking everyone that, regardless of it's in partnerships, whatever. I think that's like who's your follow? Tell me who we should kind of key in on.
This is so interesting. I almost want to take it in a direction that is so not partnerships or related to my job at all.
It could be. I mean, marketing, sale, or not at all, or whatever. Yeah.
There's this creator. His name is Alex Charfen, and he was a successful entrepreneur. He built a bunch of different businesses. Wrote this book. I think it's called The Entrepreneur Personality Type. A real thought leader, THOUGHT leader. He did this 180 in the last few years. Closed down his business. Went on what he called a sabbatical with his wife. And did all this really deep research into, he has this concept, he calls it masculine containment, but essentially what it is this concept of nervous system regulation for men and figuring out a way for men to be the calmest person in the room, to not escalate, to be able to hold their partner's emotions. It's some relationship content that I've found so interesting, but it translates to
Yes, it does.
Lots of different parts of life, and it really applies to business as well. And it's content geared toward men, but I've found it just very, very, very illuminating working in a male dominated industry. This concept of who's contained versus who's not, who's regulated, and how that affects the people around them, and specifically women.
Right. He's not just talking about relationships,
Yeah.
and you can use it across many different parts of your life, like you just said. So
yeah, it's been really interesting. And just as I do my own coaching work too, I've been helping job seekers and stuff, but there's this certain, people call it aura, but it's this indescribable energy of how you make the people you feel or people around you feel. And how do we articulate that? How do we quantify that? And how do we dial it in? Because I'll work with these job seekers who are so objectively qualified, and I don't know what else to say to them sometimes other than the energy you're bringing to the conversation with me right now
is so not it.
That I can't imagine anyone seeing this in an interview and feeling comfortable hiring you.
Yeah.
And so I've just been really tapped into better understanding my own nervous system and my own energy and the way I come across to people and my own presence and curiosity in conversations. And it's just been really interesting to see the dots connect.
I think that speaks really well to the follow that you're talking about. I mean, it's just essentially, from what you told me, it's an aura thing, getting it out there and being the most calm person in the room when maybe things are going haywire, or if they're not going haywire. The most interesting person in the room is usually the quietest one.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And just being able to hold space for other people's emotions and stuff too is such an important leadership quality. When I listen to this content, I'm like, oh yeah, every awesome boss I've ever worked for emulated these different practices. Every terrible person I've ever worked for didn't. And that's, male, female, anyone in between. Yep. It's not necessarily a super gendered thing, but yeah, it's very interesting to see these more soft skills and this kind of woo-woo concept come into the professional world more.
Alex Charfen, right?
Yeah.
Amanda, I love your new haircut. It is I'm not going to say what we called it before we started recording, but it is a bob. It is a bob. I'm really happy to see you lit up and healthy and smiling. And I'm really happy that we got to connect again. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of AudienceLed Presents. All right, Amanda. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.